Hi, everybody. Let's talk about subtracting fractions. And in particular, let's talk about subtracting fractions where we have to borrow. This seems to be causing some folks a headache. So let's take a look at it. Let's start with something like this. 6 minus 3 3/5. Right, the first thing to remember is that think about these numbers as being in different place values, right? This is the ones place, and this is the fractions place, right? And they have place values like anything else, right? This is maybe the fifths place. We'll call it fifths, right? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to try and subtract 3/5 from, how many fifths are there? None. So I need to borrow, right? Just like if I had 60 and I tried to take away 35. There's nothing in the ones place, so I need to borrow from the next place over. Okay? So borrowing. You've been doing it for a while now. Let's think about it. I'm going to go over to the 6, and I'm going to cross it out. And I'm going to borrow one whole number. Not 10 like we usually do, but just one. And that's going to leave me with 5 whole numbers. And then I'm going to take that whole number that I borrowed, and I'm going to bring it over here. And I am going to try and, it's a pretty messy arrow, I am going to try and write it as a fraction. Now remember, I'm trying to take away 3/5, so these are my choices. If I've borrowed 1, I can write 2 halves, I can write 3/3, I can write 4/4. But since we're taking away fifths, I'm going to write that 1 as 5/5. Right, that's equal to the one whole number that I borrowed. So now we can do our subtraction, right? 5/5 minus 3/5 would leave me with, well, 2/5. And it feels like I'm done, but don't forget you have the ones place, right? 5 minus 3 is 2, right? So we have to subtract the fractions place and then subtract the ones place. And sometimes we need to borrow. Let's try another one. Let's take a look at, here we go. This is also on the homework. 4 2/3 minus 3/2. Now, our first problem here is that we need to find a common denominator. Now, that's nothing unusual, right? That happens with adding and subtracting. I think 2 and 3 can both turn into 6. So let's multiply 3 times 2. That gives me a denominator of 6. Let's multiply 2 times 3. That gives me a denominator of 6. Okay, we're good to go. I just need to multiply my numerators now. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, at this point, a lot of us forget that 2/3 wasn't the number that we had. It's actually 4 2/3. So don't forget your whole number. That's very important, right? There's our 4. And now let's try and do our subtraction. Boom. 4/6 take away 9/6. Oh, can't do it. 4/6 take away 9/6. Not enough. I need to borrow some sixths. So I'm going to go over here to my 4, and I am going to borrow 1. That's going to leave me with 3, right? And what am I going to do with that whole number? Well, I can write it as 3/3 or 4/5 or whatever, or 5/5. But I'm going to choose to write it as 6/6 because that's what I'm trying to take away. This guy wants to take away 9/6. So I need more sixths. So that's how I'm going to write my number 1. Right? You remember that 1 whole can be written as any fraction where the denominator and the numerator are the same. So I'm turning it into 6/6. So now I have a total of 3 in the whole number, and all of this, 4/6 plus 6/6 is 10/6. Oh my word. Now I've got plenty of sixths. When I try and subtract my 9/6, now I have enough, right? 10 minus 9 is 1/6. 3 minus, oh, there's nothing in the ones place. I guess we'll call that a 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. And there you go. I don't need to simplify it at all. The trick is just when you borrow 1, make sure that you write it as the denominator you need on the bottom, and then that same number on the top. Okay? And you'll be all set. Borrowing from the ones place. Cool. Good luck with your homework. Bye.